Thank you for watching the Housing Oregon YouTube channel. Be sure to join our network and get involved in the work that we are doing. If you can, please like and subscribe. It helps us build this channel, which serves as a platform to communicate with our members. This video is part of our 2025 annual conference. We're looking for folks to be on the conference planning committee. Please email info@housingoregon.org.
About to get started. I don't know if they closed the doors, but yep, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. So just want to welcome everybody and thank you guys for joining today's session of People-Centric Approach to System Change. Before we get started, a couple of housekeeping rules. Just be aware of your safety exits in case of emergency. We're going to have some participation here today, so own your own comfort. Get up if you got to stretch. We just had lunch, so feel free. All the grace. And yeah, we'll get started. So my name is Rigoberto Lopez. I am the Assistant Director of Housing Services with Centro Cultural of Washington County.
Hello, my name is Tori Fletcher. I am the Director of Housing Services at Centro. We have 4 different programs within our housing department, including a non-congregate shelter for families. And we've got 3 different housing case management programs. One is purely focused on our non-congregate family shelter, and 2 are in Washington County, where we place folks all through the county. And all of our services are funded by Supportive Housing Services, SHS. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, and I'll pass it on.
And hi, I am Jennifer Ayers. I am with Northwest High Performance Enterprise Consortium. But since nobody can say that fast 5 times, we just go by NWHPEC. And what we do is help businesses in the Pacific Northwest get better together, apply continuous improvement concepts, which is what you're going to learn a little bit more about today.
Yeah. So before we get into the next slide, I kind of want to get a sense of who's in the room. Who's direct staff, like providing services? Raise your hand. Okay, a bunch of them. Any developers in the room? Finance? Advocacy? All right, what did I miss? Who else is in here that I missed? Okay, thank you for joining us. Yes, very important. Huge element of our system. Anyone else? Consulting? Okay. Did I miss anything? Anyone else?
I do housing services for voucher programs.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And I forgot to mention, you guys probably remember from your morning sessions, I'm going to repeat answers back so that those that are online or at home can hear. So I think you might hear your words parroted back at you.
Why this conversation matters? Why now? Raise your hands if you don't think housing systems are complex. Nobody raised their hands. Okay, so everybody's on alignment that the housing system's complex. And the unfortunate thing is that people navigate these systems every single day. So imagine their experience. I feel like the way that we're going about this is we're trying to take big steps and really to move forward to a truly client-focused future state. It's about the small steps. It's about taking small steps in the right direction and with informed information and data.
Now, this is where I ask for you guys to let me know in your day-to-day work, what is the biggest obstacle that you face? Anyone want to raise your hand? Yes. Time. Ooh, what about time? Not enough time.
Yeah.
Snaps.
Anyone else? Funding.
Funding.
Ineffective communication flows, absolutely, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Lack of transparency. Things are not available online. Yeah. I know for me, red tape. Sometimes I have to wait for an answer to go through 15 different people on an email chain before it loops back to me, and that can take weeks. anyone else have any big obstacles that you face on a day-to-day basis? You hit some of the major key ones, so perfect.
So the origin story, so why I'm here today. Since I started at Centro, before I started at Centro, I worked in manufacturing, mostly frontline focus, mostly assembly, shipping and receiving. I never went past the lead, never went into manager. Then I found Centro. And I quickly realized that, you know, what Centro was facing was some of the same challenges that operations face. Sometimes you have communication issues when you're not getting the right information. Funding. Oh my God, funding is always a challenge, especially now, right? Lack of standards. Lack of tapping into your creative genius. Just understand what challenges you guys face and come up with creative solutions to address those challenges. And the biggest thing that I would say is that I used to deliver high quality products, and now I'm just delivering high quality services. And it's the same thing. You have to have a very effective structure in a system to support your front line. And so this is why we're having this conversation today.
I come from a social work background. Rigo here comes from manufacturing, over 20 years. And so I am very comfortable with emotional work, getting into the nitty-gritty. If you want me to walk alongside you on your path to wherever you want to go, I'll be there. I can be your shoulder to cry on. When Rigo was talking about continuous improvement, Kaizen, lean principles, these all words were, a foreign language to me. I had no idea what he was talking about. I really didn't see how concepts to eliminate waste and non-value added jargon. I just didn't understand it until he started explaining it to me. Again, I'm a social services provider. I didn't understand, what does this have to do with providing services to people that are going through housing crises? And quickly, as we were talking, because I love talking, I realized that it was actually really great, because with MUDA and what they're going to explain later is it's not a top-down mandate for how to do system change. It is all of us collectively are getting to talk about our experiences, provide feedback from every step of every process and every program. So not just participants or direct services or funders or developers, it's everyone at every system. Small changes make huge impacts. Before the pandemic, I was working in downtown Portland in a housing program, which was awesome. It had been set up for 50 years. They had most of the things dialed in, but we were in a mindset of scarcity. We just didn't have that much. We didn't have any security deposits, move-in funding. We had housing navigators, but there was nothing to go along with that to sustain someone moving into their own apartment and being able to pay for their rent. That did not exist. So as everything shut down for the pandemic, funding actually opened up. I don't know if you guys remember, but I was alone a lot in little meetings on Zoom, and it was very weird and very traumatizing for a lot of folks, but suddenly there was funding available, and that was awesome. And no longer were we in the scarcity mindset when I joined Centro 4 years ago with the support of Housing Services Bond. Suddenly we had lots of funding. I came into a system that was being built from the ground up, so there wasn't really a lot of structure. We were building that. How do you do continuous improvement when everything is brand new? We were training participants at the same time that we were training our staff. It was a weird time. So that's where continuous improvement really came into this. 2 years into the program, we have things set up, we are doing great services, people are moving in, we're feeling great, but how am I actually feeling as a service provider? I was drowning. We were still working to improve our policies, we were still working to improve our intakes, how do we submit receipts, where do we store everything? We're using HMIS, but we were also working on our internal information system. It was a lot. And so that's where continuous improvement really came into it. Because like I said, it's not a top-down mandate. What continuous improvement is, it empowers our participants and our staff and our leaders and our funders to come together and create small changes that cause big impacts day after day. It's a never-ending process, which means that we all are able to make our work a little bit easier and be able to sustain the really important work that impacts our communities for years on end. So, as I was kind of highlighting, what wasn't working was a lot of different things because it was a brand new program for our housing department. There wasn't a housing department before we started in May of 2021. We were able to get our shelter with Project Turnkey funding, and in the fall we brought on our direct services staff to start implementing these processes. And so again, a lot of work all at once. So what wasn't going right? We were drowning in invoices. We were drowning in intakes. We were drowning in service transactions. We were drowning in trying to create policies and procedures. This is the nature of building capacity, and it was fun, and it was exciting, and it was a lot of work. But then came in, 2 years later, Rigo, bringing in a very fresh perspective. He was able to look at it from the manufacturing lean and the Kaizen that they'll talk about, and they're able to see these things that, for me, I was carrying a caseload of 60 people. I was just trying to keep my head above water, so to speak, and he was able to come in and really look at it from this lens of lean and continuous improvement and be able to really identify what wasn't working.
Yeah, so my eyes wide open when I came in. I just saw there was just so many opportunities. But under these opportunities was like a labor burden, because all the frontline staff are the ones who are carrying this. You're the ones that have to carry out the services with a very unsupported system and structure. Right? There's a lot of gatekeeping, really, a lot of gatekeeping. We have service providers who are doing really good, and some service providers who are really challenged. And so we're gatekeeping strategies and standards, but we're all providing the same core services. Feedback loops. Oh my God, there is no feedback loops, especially from the front line. And not from the service provider's perspective, but from the participant's perspective. Who knows of a feedback loop right now that we're listening to our participants right now? Are you guys getting feedback from your participants? No. Yes?
I saw some hands going
That's
like
one
this.
person, that's two persons, but there's a huge gap right there. That's a huge opportunity. We're designing our system without their knowledge, without their perspective, really, and that's backwards, really. Your system lives and dies from the front line. A missing quality management system, a system that measures your quality, identifies opportunities for improvement, identifies solutions for those opportunities for improvement, and creates standards. And we were stuck. We were all in the status quo. I came into the housing system, into Centro, and I kept on asking, why are we doing this? One of the things that we were doing is that we were copying and pasting service notes from HMIS into our Salesforce, which is our internal application. And I just didn't see any need for that. We weren't really capturing any data. So, and I asked, why are we doing this? Because we were told to. Right? So we were just really stuck. And really, the most unfortunate thing about being stuck and being that status quo is that what I see here in this room is a collective of creative genius. And what happens when we're stuck is that we're not tapping into your creative genius. Because I'm sure each and one of you have had an idea of oh, I could do this better. Oh, this will save me time. Oh, this could take off a couple minutes from our intake. Yes? It seems to nod, yes, right? So that was the biggest unfortunate thing, and really what I try to do is I just want to tap into your creative genius. You have ideas, I want to listen to them. This is hypothetical, okay? This is a potential opportunity for service quality alignment. So on the left side, we have a percentage of service quality percentage. On the bottom, we have a service providers, and we have the performance. And I'm going to be quite honest with you. When I first started at Centro, I set out to be the highest performing organization in the county, in the Tri-County area. Those are my motivations. Tell me what's wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that? Anybody want to take a guess? It's not client-centered, right? We have something going on. Like, even before I started, Centro was one of the, well, people kept on telling us that we're high-performing. And me and Tori were like, are we? Right? Are we? And so, that's not client-centered. If I have a strategy that's working for us in our organization, why shouldn't we open the doors and share those strategies with each other? Right? What happens when funding, we just had a huge shortfall. What happens with these programs? Cut. Right? I see this as a huge opportunity. And one of the simple solutions, one of the steps forward, is to get the information and the standards and share this with these service providers. I want to work towards a system where our service quality and percentage align. And when we had to cut programs, it's not so obvious. When I look at the other slide, I think about the participant experience. I think we just face it right now with the cuts in programs. And you could kind of tell the level of service quality. And this is not to knock any other service providers, because really, it's the structures and the systems that were in place. And that's all it is. We're all trying to do really good work. We're all trying to help people. But these are huge, and going back to the last slide, there's a huge opportunity for alignment.
So, going off of what Rigo just talked about, if you could change one thing about your job right now, what would it be?
Raise your hands.
You guys you love your jobs? Everything's perfect?
Everything's perfect?
Our work is done, everyone.
Yeah, let's go. Back up. Let's go.
Okay, magic. You've got a genie in a bottle. You've got a magic wand. What would you change about your job?
Up in the front.
That funding wasn't based on outcomes.
Funding wasn't based on outcomes?
Actually closing the feedback loop.
Ooh, yeah, absolutely.
Kind of something you touched on, but just improve recognition of kind of the common goals that a lot of disparate players have within the system, even outside of nonprofit and government, even in private market as well.
If people didn't equate feedback with criticism.
That's a great one. A lot of times people are scared to give feedback and take feedback.
If higher ups understood that high performance metrics don't equal quality service.
Yeah. And you know what? I want to go back on that slide, because one of the things I didn't mention was we could all question the quality metrics that we have right now. And if really, are those the ones that we should be measured against? I question those all the time, right? We could find some quality metrics that we could all be held to, but that is our current state.
Anyone else? Thought I saw a hand back there. Great. Well, this is where we started with how do we improve our systems? We are doing client or participant surveys when they exit our programs. What could have been better? And not taking it as a criticism of, you're not doing X, Y, Z, but rather, what are the opportunities out there? If we got real-time feedback from the folks that actually went through the program, I ask for that all the time. A lot of people don't love receiving grievances from their participants or their service users. I kind of love it, because then I go, hey, that means that you went through my program and you know it better than anyone else. I haven't been through it like you have. What could be improved? Do you need it in a different language? Do you want this to be told to you verbally? Do you want a reminder on your door that I tape up? Do you want a text message? What would have made your life easier when you were in our programs? You know, I've gotten a lot of great feedback from folks that told me I could have done something a bit better, and it wasn't a bad thing. It actually, we have changed rules, we've streamlined processes, and we hope that we continue to improve every single day, because we're really only trying to make our service participants' lives easier.
So Kaizen, I shared that. So I was exposed to Kaizen when I was in manufacturing. I was at Oracle for like 10 to 15 years. And the core of Kaizen are these 5, 6 concepts. So, and there's a couple words in there that you might not know of. So one of them being Kaizen, which is the Japanese translation of continuous improvement. Muda is waste, non-value added activity essentially. And then Gemba is going to the work, where the services are being provided, where the rubber hits the road. So knowing your customer, knowing your participant, really, like what do they need? Put their minds at front when you're creating programs and policies and structures and systems. Let it flow. So all the non-value added activity, just for one, just service notes. Who hates service notes? Right? So, and have you seen a variation of service notes from organization to organization? Right? Yes. So those type of activities, if we could streamline those, make it more technical, you could save some time and resources, right? Like let it flow. When you think about letting it flow, I always kind of think about some rapids. Really busy, a lot going on, a lot of movement, a lot of power. And then you have an easy going stream, which is really what you want to strive for when you have an operation, right? Take away these non-value-add activities that are causing activities and energy, and we just want to make it smooth and possible for our participants and for our frontline. Not just for our frontline, for everyone, because I'm sure everyone, even if you're not part of the front line, if you're supporting the front line in somehow, you're challenged with some of your work too. Go to Gemba. Go to where the services are being provided. Get that perspective. Understand the challenges that are going on right there. And design your systems and programs around that. Empower your people. Like I said before, I see a room of creative genius in here. I'm sure each and one of you had an idea of how to improve outcomes, workflows, but did they ever implement them? Have you ever shared an improvement with your superior and wondered what happened with that improvement? Yes? Anyone else can relate to that? Yes? Nodding head? Yes, 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 yes. Depending on what type of continuous improvement program you have, you could have a continuous improvement program that you submit an idea. It goes to a library where you check it to see what's going on with it. Somebody says that it's just go do a long-term project, and then you work on it, right? But you also follow up on it with the people. I was like, oh, hey, your improvement just got done a couple weeks ago. Oh, this is going to be a long-term program. So it really depends on how you have a continuous improvement program. But most importantly, you want to empower your workforce because they're the ones doing the services. They're the ones like, oh man, service notes, data, all this stuff. We'll get into data here in a little bit when we go through some case studies. And be transparent, right? We have so many communication loops, so many things going on that some of that stuff gets lost in translation. So have data to support you. Pure improvement. Everyone, every day, everywhere. It's just not one improvement. It's one other improvement every day. It's this relentless approach and continuous improvement.
Okay, so we're going to let's go to the next slide real quick. How do you help with those? All right, so one of the core foundations is in being able to kind of really look at what you're doing. You're all caught in this chaos, right? Every day can feel a little bit chaotic, and it's really hard to even take a step back and say, like, how can I even change things? How can I find more time to do something, to make an improvement? Am I even finding time to really understand what our clients need? So one of the things that we like to do is look at the 8 wastes. So within these, so you'll have 2 sheets, 2 sides on your paper. The first is the stop waste, right? And the second has some examples on it. So when you look at the 8 wastes, it's things like downtime, overproducing, waiting for things, having an underutilization of talent, transporting things from one place to the other, storing a lot of inventory, creating extra motion and extra processing. So if you look at the examples on the back side of the page, reflect back. One of the first questions we asked you was, what are some of those obstacles getting in your way, right? And then we also asked what you could change about your day. Very often what you're gonna find is that these wastes are the things causing those struggles, right? So is there anything on that sheet that really resonates with you that's a waste that you're seeing within your daily job? Shout them out. Which ones? Waiting weeks for application review, yes, right? That creates a lot of extra time in the process. And the people that are waiting, or, you know, they rely on this, they're trying to get into housing or whatever it is that they need at the time, right? So yeah, waiting is huge. What else? What shows up that resonates with you?
Requiring multiple signatures.
Yes, multiple signatures. Yeah, and you're like, why, right? My first job, I had to get a requisition for a $250 digital camera. And it had to go through 2 layers above me to sign off on a $250 camera. So that was before smartphones had cameras and I just carried one around with me. But still, right? Like, why? What else? Yeah.
Enter the same information in 2 different places.
Entering the same information in 2 different places. You had something too. Extra, like in what instance? What happens within your job that you're doing extra that you?
Sometimes working with outside agencies, getting paperwork back that things got missed, and then more time is taken, and there's lack of communication.
Yeah. So things can get missed. It also kind of fits into defects, right? Errors come. You know, you have to fix things because you sent it through the system once, hoping that you'd never see it again, and it came back to you, right? Elise. Stuff stored all over town and having to run around and get it. So true. All right, so as we start to really reflect on what's bogging down the different things within our daily processes, right, we really start to see that, and we need to better understand that we have value-added and non-value-added work. All right, so we all feel that we go to work and we grind and we're adding value all 8, 10, 12 hours that we're there, right? Unfortunately, the truth is, if you really take a step back, we're doing things that actually aren't necessary. And if we can become, if you can kind of have that lens so that you can look at your work a little bit differently and say, am I really adding value here? Or is this something that I can eliminate because there's a waste going on? We'll slowly start to free up time in your day. Did you know that if you can save 10 minutes a day in your workday, that adds up to 40 hours by the end of the year? You could gain an extra week of work if you can figure out how to get 10 minutes a day, right? So unfortunately, the statistics are 5% of what we do is value added, right? Yikes, right? Some things are necessary, right? You're never gonna get down to 100% value added, but how do we get rid of a lot of that extra stuff? All right, so Rigo, let's talk a little bit more about what that looks like in services.
Yeah, so value added versus non-value added in services. So the definition, service that directly contribute to the meeting customer needs or solving their problem is value added. What is non-value added is services that do not directly contribute to the meeting a customer needs or solving their problems. And you could probably identify some of those in the examples that you have. And then the purpose of value added is central to delivering a high quality service experience that meets the customer needs. And then the non-value added services are non-essentials to deliver a high quality service experience that needs the customer needs. Examples like consulting, value added, problem solving, value added, training, customer support. What's not value added are administrative tasks, excessive paperwork, long waiting times. And then the goal is by providing high quality service that meets their needs. And then the non-value added services, our goal is eliminating or minimizing non-value added services.
Okay, so we are in this critical time after lunch where we have to keep you guys awake. All right? So that's why we have an activity. All right? So you've been hearing a little bit about their story, some of the things that they've kind of walked in and started looking at things differently, started changing things. But what does it look like if you were to actually analyze some of the processes that you have going on, right? So in the spirit of continuous improvement and standardization, and also drawing upon an example that all of you are going to be able to relate to, how many of you wake up and go to work every day? Okay, score. All right, we picked a good one.
Yes.
So you will find Post-it notes in the center of each of your table. What I want each of you to do is think about from when your alarm goes off in the morning and you wake up until you go out the door to start your commute or cross a threshold in your house to start work. What are those activities that you do? Okay, so I am going to give you a couple minutes. Okay, so each of you, if I need to get some extra Post-it notes out, I can. If you're not at a table, come up. We got extra spots. So right now it's an individual activity. So step one, we're going to grab some sticky notes. Consider each action you take from the moment your alarm rings until you step out the door and write them. Okay? Any questions?
One Post-it note per action. Snooze button 3 times. Walk the dog. Over. Walk the dog. You have to do anything with the cat in the morning? You have to feed them. Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm going to give you one more minute.
Let's do a different pen then.
Throw that one away. That's
Great.
okay. Okay. Well, we're going to cut you off here shortly, so.
Still a few minutes left, so we're good.
Okay, so it sounds like some of you have some pretty extreme morning routines, which is just fine, right? Just fine. All we're doing right now, we're not judging. We are just understanding what we do. So how many of you, did it surprise you how many steps you had in your process? Right? It also depends too what kind of level you're looking at, right? So if someone's saying like if one of your post-its says like, you know, take the lid off my toothpaste, that's probably a little too granular, right? But anyhow, okay, so now we're gonna go on to the second part. I know some of you aren't quite done yet, but what I want you to do now is share your process with others at your table, okay? And then I want you to discuss and compare any differences in your routines and similarities in your routines. So go around your tables quickly and just take turns. I don't know if everybody's going to be able to have a chance to share, but share as many of your processes with your fellow teammates, table mates as possible. Okay, hopefully you're close to being done sharing, and I need you to start talking about what are some of the similarities and some of the differences. Okay, I'm going to call you back. Love the level of conversations. That's good. Means you're all still awake. Okay, so did you notice some similarities and differences? Oh, yeah, safety, thank you. Did you notice some similarities and differences in your processes, right? All trying to accomplish the same thing? What were some major differences? Anything aha moments?
The level of screen addiction.
Okay, level of screen addiction. I did overhear yours. You're like, and I sit there and scroll on my phone until I have to leave, right? That was you, right? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, right? You might have kids, yeah. So there's little things there that your process is going to depend on. Were you trying to say something as well? Oh, yeah, yep. 2 legs, 4 legs. If you got extra ones, it takes a long time. Okay, yeah, whether you are so that can provide some differences. I also heard somebody when someone else was going through their process has said, oh, I forgot that, right? So the pleasure of routine. So yeah, well, I heard you just describe just the process of picking your coffee cup out the night before. So and we're not laughing at him. He is just that's what he depends on to get up and get ready in the morning and have a good day, right? Right.
Some of us were very detail oriented, where others grouped tasks.
Okay, yeah, and that can happen too. Okay, all right, great. So now what I'd like you to do. So yes, we have some different outlying factors, things like that, and that's always going to come in. But we need to come up with a standardized process. So I need each table to create one process through the center of your table on how you can all agree to get out the door in the morning, okay? Consolidate your individual processes. Have some good conversations, no conflict, okay? What's a single process you could use at your table to get ready in the morning, okay?
It's going to get undone in the night anyways.
Okay, 1 more minute. Hone in on your process.
We haven't even get there. We haven't even get to the next slide. I think we should have.
Whatever my note is, this one is this slide, and then that's supposed to end at 2:45, so the next one. So yeah. Okay, let's bring it back in, folks. Bring it in. All right, I saw some pretty amazing conversations going on and really cool processes. So I heard some good compromise going on. I heard some good, like, let's have an umbrella word for this. Over here, this group decided to divvy up every single one of their Post-it notes to ensure that everybody's piece of the process was at least accounted for somewhere along the way. So they have the master process up at top, and then fairness, like I heard you type of a thing, right? So there's lots of different ways you can go about doing this, and let me tell you, lean and sticky notes are synonymous. They are so fun. And I'm even one of these people who am really into sustainability and recycling, but I just can't give up my sticky notes. So I'm like, that's like the one thing. So what was that like, trying to consolidate? What were those conversations like? What stood out for you in your conversations? Relational? Okay, having those deep conversations about how do I prioritize.
Willingness to compromise.
You have to compromise a little bit, right? Letting go of pride and ego.
Yes, definitions and understanding, like we say the same thing but mean slightly different things, to be really clear on what we're actually talking about.
So true, right? That's kind of almost this different dialect is going on, right? It's like, no, actually we are talking about the same thing, but let's get these words out a little bit more so we know, or use sticky notes, right?
I say incentivizes self-improvement.
Tell me more about incentivizing self-improvement.
Well, I'm not going to really advocate for my YouTube time in the morning.
Okay. All right, good, right? So can you imagine what the conversations at work might look like around a common process that you might be trying to accomplish, right? Because a lot of times people are doing things just, a little bit differently. But if you said, okay, if we have to have a common process, what would that look like? Because when we don't have standardization, it's really hard to ultimately make an improvement. It's really hard to guarantee that you're producing the same quality of care for the people that you are working with and your clients if you don't have those standards in place, right? You've got another comment?
Yeah, I find it really interesting, because screen time comes up for everybody. So there is a human factor, and we might not be wanting to advocate for this time. We kind of maybe feel conscious about it, but we all need to include that because there is a time and personal time, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So we have to, I think we're going to have to acknowledge them, and include them.
Yeah.
Because they happen.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's one, that's an example when we're talking about the social media part. I'm just going to say TMI, I think that's why my kids take their phones in the bathroom with them. So, kill two birds with one stone.
I was just going to say, it was good to see, now that I was just thinking about it, looking at the value systems first so that we could negotiate on what we could agree on. So one of them was I'm not doing any earlier than 7 in the morning. It was like, oh, well, would you do 6:45? Then you can hit the snooze a couple of times. And I was like, you know what? I'm in.
See? There you go. We can all win in some way. Okay. We do have to hurry through this next step, but I do want you to focus as hard as possible on this, okay? Flip the slide. Oh, we did that. Guess what? You missed your alarm. You have 7 minutes to get out the door to work, look at your value added and your non-value added. I need a new process that you can get out the door in 7 minutes. 7 minutes.
Yeah. Cur- Yes, sir.
I was afraid this would happen on the activity. Yeah, I kind of knew that would happen. Well, and they're getting a concept, right? Their feedback is like they're telling us what you wanted to tell them.
You want to get ready to start sending out the BS intakes?
30 seconds, 30 seconds to get your process down to 7 minutes.
Once I start.
Okay, folks, let's pull it back in. Okay, so what was a key? What was a key factor for getting that process down to 7 minutes? Hygiene? Are we skipping hygiene or are we doubling up somewhere? Oh, prioritizing hygiene. Okay. Yeah, no. I've heard like you can brush your teeth in the car, you can put your mascara on at stoplights. You took out makeup and things, right? There are things you seriously had to compromise, right? What about you guys? What was a major?
Well, we decided.
Oh, I'm sorry, I moved. Oh, you're gonna call in sick. Okay. Okay. All right.
That's a streamlined process.
Okay, on that note, we're gonna move. Okay, you've got one thing real quick. Okay, yeah. Okay, but sometimes in order to really figure out like how do we streamline this, you need to strip it back to almost nothing. Like what's really, like if you had to get an intake form in 2 hours or whatever that is, that seems like a stretch, push yourself that far, right? Because it's by pushing yourself that far that the creativity is going to open up, and it might not be your final process because you don't want to make too many sacrifices, right? But you're starting with the bare bones, and then you're figuring out what to add back in. Real quick, we probably got rid of YouTube. Okay.
I was just going to say, we kind of ran into some white-collar privilege.
True.
We had to imagine a work environment where we couldn't be late.
Ah, yes. There you go. There you go. Okay. All right, so now what we're going to do, thank you for, I know, I wish we could spend the whole afternoon. You guys were having a lot of fun. Let's get into some case studies on some of the things that they did at Centro to when they started looking at their processes from this perspective.
Yeah, so at Centro, we had 7 deep dive value stream mapping sessions, and we did everything from intake data, which is what we have today. We'll show some 2 case studies. And you guys should have the intake case study. So first, like Jennifer was saying, the sticky notes are Lean's best friend. And so we kind of did the same thing. We had a whiteboard. We put up everything that we did in, this is in regards to intake. We put everything that we did in intake on the board. And then we divided them up into 4 distinct stages, which was first intake, pre-intake, intake, and post-intake. Before we started, we also made agreements, like what would drive our work and what these sessions. And so we said that we would appreciate the past, we would be present, we would radically accept what was going on, confidentiality and vulnerability, give grace, tap into your creative genius, move forward and move back, and then challenge the idea, not the person. So the first thing, again, this is kind of what I was mentioning too, is that we just put everything on the whiteboard, and what we were doing, we do ROIs, we do the Pacific screening report, we do intake prep docs, ARLA application, just everything. And so again, we divided them up into, three distinct, I think one that I didn't put in there was first contact. So we divided them up into three distinct phases. So the background for the intake process is the first impression for participants have of our programs. Creating smooth, clear, and supportive experience is essential to building trust, setting the tone for services, and ensuring participants feel welcome, and welcome from the very beginning. We'll just kind of go through with the current conditions. I had mentioned that. We'll go into the participant experience challenges. So misunderstanding program expectations. Participants often say, I didn't know that, despite signing documents. Stress and urgency during intakes leads to incomplete comprehension. Language and cultural barriers limit understanding, especially for Spanish-speaking participants. Lack of structured follow-up leads to uncertainty and decreased engagement. Missing documentation and unclear or incomplete information causes verification delays, confusion, frustration for both staff and participants. So this is the participant experience. So this is what they're going through. Imagine delaying the process because of an error. What happens when you delay a process for participants who are looking for housing? Right? We delay that process by a day or two. Impact on service quality. Inconsistent intake reduces clarity, slows service delivery, and increases errors. Participants may disengage and experience delays in accessing essential resources. Staff must spend extra time clarifying, correcting, and repeating information, reducing their ability to provide high-quality services, which really impacts the rapport, right? How many times have we had that experience where we shared information and it wasn't the accurate information because the policies weren't updated or they were incorrect, right? This all impacts the participant experience. Goals and targets: create a participant-centered intake experience that is clear, supportive, and culturally responsive. Standardize intake workflows and first contact practices for consistency and equity. Ensure participants fully understand program expectations and required documentation. Minimize delays, errors, and confusions during intake. And also, build a mechanism to assess intake quality and participant satisfaction. We don't even have a mechanism to, the intake process is happening so many different times, and we don't have a mechanism how we can measure how that's being delivered. Imagine that. How many different standards or program requirements are being told to participants that might not be accurate? That's an overall system challenge right there. It's not just our program challenge, it's an overall system challenge. So countermeasures: standardize first contact scripts with scripts and checklists to ensure consistent messaging. Develop participant-focused materials, plain language. I just went through this with Tori. I was looking through all our policies, and I had a hard time reading them. I barely graduated high school. I'm being 100% honest. And I was having a hard time understanding some of these policies. And then I chat GPT. I was like, hey, can you tell me what level of writing and reading this is? 12th grade. Right? What is the level of writing and reading for newspapers? What was it? 7th? 7th? Around there, it's supposed to be like around 5th, like 5, 6, yeah. Conduct structured follow-ups and first contact to clarify expectations and verify understanding. Use visual tools to show program success, criteria, and participant responsibilities. Implement a participant experience assessment mechanism to track comprehension, satisfaction, and service quality. Develop a program orientation to provide a participant with a clear introduction of services, expectations, responsibilities, and available supports. So that I'm not going to go into too much into the plan in the next step because we're still in developing these things. And the reason why is because just like you, we're all overburdened with the work. And I have so many things on my plate. And one of them being is creating our structure and our system internally. So more to come. Hopefully we can get these implemented soon. So the follow-up and continuous improvement, collect participant feedback regularly to measure understanding and satisfaction, adjust workflow, scripts, and materials based on feedback to improve service quality, integrate intake quality improvements into staff onboarding and cross-training programs, share best practices across programs to ensure consistent participant-centered experience. So that is the case study for intake. The next one is, if you guys have it, is around data. Who here hates data like I do? Just 3 people? Okay, everybody else likes it? Okay. Yeah, so background. Accurate data entry is critical for compliance, monitoring system capacity, and supporting decisions. Currently challenges inconsistent HMAS entry, low staff proficiency, and over-reliance on corrections. How often do you guys spend correcting data? Like how much time? Like is it a constant thing? Yeah. Current conditions, performance scorecards, programs are out of compliance on multiple data targets. Service provider average confirms this is a system-wide issue, not unique to our programs. Control and external barriers. Some data points are within our control, timeliness of entry, while others depend on participant circumstances and external barriers. Kind of like what you were speaking to about some of the data outcomes. Like some of these don't really matter to the outcomes, right? And so participants' impact and labor burden, low frequency, complex data entry tasks place heavy burden on the front line. Reducing inefficiency and limiting time for direct participant support. So that time that we're spending on data could be time that we could better use for delivering services. Task complexity. The most challenging HMAS data entry tasks include household composition changes, housing move-in dates, HUD data sub-assessments, and referrals. Strategic reassignment to reduce burden and improve accuracy. Complex tasks were being reassigned to staff proficient in data entry. Training frontline staff on low-frequency tasks is inefficient, especially as the system nears capacity, and is new HMIS. And we also have a new HMIS system that's coming. So right now, as we are right now, Centro is pretty much at full capacity, meaning that we're not getting a flow of intakes that require new data in the beginning, because a lot of the data is heavy on the intake, right? So right now, we don't have. So the frequencies of this happening is very, very low. So it's really hard for people to retain that information. Goals and targets: achieve compliance across multiple data targets, increase staff confidence and proficiency on routine tasks, reduce errors, rework, and reliance on our quality assurance personnel. Reassign low-frequency complex tasks to proficient staff, prepare staff, and the process ahead of our new HMIS system. So some of the root cause and waste that we identified, they're the training gaps, the training materials, the stuff that the counties have are often out of date. So again, more time to figure how to do corrections. Yeah, I've seen a nod over here, right? Task misalignment, complex, low-frequency tasks assigned to frontline staff, underutilized staff, and inefficient. The waste that was identified, non-utilized talent in motion. System inconsistencies, workflows, added dates, non-standards, redundant navigation and corrections, kind of what I was speaking to. Operational constraint, high capacity limit frequency of data entry, delays, processing, and handouts. Ultimately, this affects the participant experience. The countermeasures that we're taking is that we're assigning those tasks to somebody who's proficient in doing that and who could ensure 100% compliance with data quality. And then we're also going to be tracking the compliance proficiency and collect staff from feedback. I won't go through all the plan, the next steps, because we're still, again, some of this stuff is still continued. We already reassigned those complex tasks, but imagine the labor burden that was relieved by doing that. Imagine what we could do with that extra resources and time. And that's what really continuous improvement is. It's those small little steps that take away the resources that are being used and underutilized. and use them somewhere else. Follow up and continuous improvement, maintain audits and compliance tracking, conduct quarterly proficiency evaluation, adjust training and task assignments as needed, provide target training on high-frequency tasks to maintain frontline proficiency, document lessons learned, and share across programs. Stabilize and strengthen process to advance for the new HMIS system to ensure a smoother transition and long-term sustainability. So those were the things, kind of like what you guys did with the exercise of getting ready. We did that with all of our, most of our processes within our department. We looked and we applied the lean lens of like, what's value added, what's non-value added, what is causing delays, inefficiencies, bottlenecks, and we tap into our creative genius to come up with some solutions for that. And we've been able to alleviate some resources from the frontline staff, which really, when I said at the beginning, it's like your system lives and dies in the beginning. If you don't take care of your front line, you're going to be overburdened, overworked, and close to burnout. And quite honestly, like, I'm almost there. But I keep going at it because I know that every little win is going to alleviate in the long term for our frontline staff, right? And what am I trying to do here? I'm not trying to gatekeep anymore. It's not serving our participants anymore. I want to break down these silos. I want to collaborate with all y'all, share what's been going on with us, what has been going on, what the successes we've had, and also some of our challenges too. We're all providing the same core services. We could work towards standards. Roots of wisdom. Tori, I'm gonna let you go.
So, kind of going into what are the lessons that we've learned along the way. First, this is a human business. There is a lot of emotional burnout. There's a lot of trauma that our participants and our service providers are experiencing. And, you know, we can't always focus on the metrics and the performance and the results that, you know, our funders are providing to us. We have got to focus on the people that we serve, the communities who are engaging in our services. Those are who are important. We need the people that are our frontline workers to be supported and to be heard. We need to have our feedback loops closed. We need to eliminate waste when it is possible and listen to the people that are going through these services and funding our services and being impacted by our services. I heard you guys say over and over and over again, the metrics don't actually capture what we all do. We're not in it to, you know, see numbers and data necessarily. Some of us love data, I love data, but it is challenging. We want to, you know, work with the people. Like I said at the beginning, I'm there to walk alongside you and get my hands dirty. That is what we are trying to do with continuous improvements. Make your lives easier so we can sustain the work that is so crucial to us.
Can I just make a quick and when you focus on the process, the results will come. It's not that we're ignoring the fact, because there is a metric that someone is looking at, and that's super important at a certain level. But if you focus on the people, you focus on the process, that's going to be a natural outcome instead of focusing on the result and just burning as hard as you can to get that. Take a step back.
Okay. Now, for you guys, I would like you to share one small improvement you'll try when you get back to your teams. Now, what's one little thing that you could try and do?
You said post-it note thing.
We'll do the post-it note thing because we're actually going to be working on our referral process, and this will be nice to do next week.
Awesome.
If you ever have 7 minutes to get to work, just give me a call and I'll give you some more time.
Think about what you've heard today. What is one, every one of you should have one small thing that you can try tomorrow.
Definitely past due for collecting participant feedback from people who are in the midst of the program.
I don't work in services, but I will start thinking more about what type of tasks are value add and not value add in my day-to-day work.
Who else is ready to make their commitment out loud?
Moving those high complex, low frequency tasks off my front desk and to their housing specialists and seeing what my front desk can do that's easier. Yeah.
I love that. That's great. Reassigning some of those tasks to the folks that can do that deep work and see where we can have them at the front desk doing simpler tasks, get more stuff done.
So we'll go back to why this conversation matters, right? Housing systems are complex, but do they have to be? A way forward to making them not as complex is through these strategies. One small step at a time. Looking at what you're doing every single day and understanding that what you do also affects the participants. The amount of time that we spend doing data and corrections and notes and paperwork and intakes, all that stuff, all that impacts the participant experience. And again, moving towards a future state which is truly client-centered is just those small steps. It's identifying those stress points, it's identifying those redundancies, it's identifying those inefficiencies, and see, can we do this better? Does it have to be 50 questions in an intake when you could accomplish that with 30? Imagine the time that you save on that. Imagine you could use that time on self-care, right? We're all kind of close to burning out. And it's going to take these strategies to find those resources so we can reutilize them for something better. And again, reinforcing that one step makes a huge impact. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. Ever heard of the concept of 1 degree shifts? You take 1 degree in a different direction and you end up in a totally different time zone, country, land of water, whatever. It's impactful.
And what I just handed out is the power of small steps. These are examples that happen in the real world with just small shifts in big industries that impacted a lot of people. You know, it really is just those small things that will have a huge ripple effect on everyone. So just to finish off for today, what is one word that describes your experience today? You can just shout it out. Motivating. Grounding. Energizing. Traumatic.
Traumatic.
Not what we try to do today.
We did our job. Inspiring. Well, thank you everyone so much for coming. We really appreciate you coming here after lunch. You know, give yourselves a big round of applause for participating. If you want to get a hold of us, this is our information. Take a photo. It'll be up here. But otherwise, thank you guys.
Thank you.